CSL Primetime is brought to you by Jovova Sports Uniforms and Apparel. Jovova, giving you sports experience for a lifetime. Hey folks, I'm Alex Bastiavansky. This is Jovova CSL Primetime. Welcome. And you know, I went to a soccer match on Saturday night and a hockey game broke out. Serbia, Hamilton, went toe-to-toe in a bench-clearing brawl that you've got to see to believe, and that's coming up later on. For the moment, though, let's get to the actual soccer that was played. And, you know, Milton has looked like a whole different team recently, despite sitting in the CSL basement for most of the season. They've upped their game over the past few weeks and augmented their roster with some veteran talent. And they were coming off a big win over Scarborough the week before. So needless to say, Milton was brimming with confidence heading into last weekend. Unfortunately for them, Toronto Atomic brought them back down to earth pretty quickly. Game highlights now brought to you by Jovova Sports Uniforms and Apparel. Jovova, giving you sports experience for a lifetime. Toronto Atomic was coming off a tough 3-2 loss to Ukraine the week before. They had no intention of dropping another 3 points. 4 minutes in, a Milton defensive gaffe leads to the first goal. Bogdan Polichkov throws it out front. Scott Tristan, oops, own goal. And his reaction pretty much says it all. 1-0 for Atomic. And then just a minute later, Igor Melnyk with the goal of the week here as he bends Boris Belinovich into a pretzel. These are some sweet little moves, and it's 2-0 for Atomic after just 5 minutes of play. Yeah, not quite the start that Milton was looking for. The Reds trying to get something going. Adnan Smajic tied for the CSL lead in goals. And can't get that one to go, though. Atomic tries to pad its lead. Polichkov to Michael Tischer. Offside, but great stop nonetheless by Zoran Puzichka. Smajic snake-bitten on this day for Milton. Here he takes the feed from Lucky Magori, who does nice work to get it to him out front. Just not happening for Smajic on this day, though. Dario Brezak with a one-hopper that nearly fools Puzichka. Takes a mad bounce over top of the net. Nice ball movement here by Atomic. Ihor Magalevsky plays a little give and go. Will end up floating it across the crease, but just off the top of the crossbar it goes right there. They just kept coming in waves. Atomic. Polichkov to Migalevsky for the one-timer here. Once again, though, he pokes it just over top of the crossbar. Okay, second half, Milton trying to get anything they can going. Free kick, but Vasil Shuk sprawls to make the nice save. And then another free kick by Milton. They take it quickly this time, but once again, Shuk there to deny. Atomic looking for a third marker here. Migalevsky fights off his man, but it goes right into the waiting arms of Puzichka. This time, they would add one more, though, before it was all done. Migalevsky does well to feed it out front to Loilo Johnson for the one-timer. Nicely done. 3-0 Toronto Atomic, and that was more than enough. So Milton has its modest one-game win streak snapped, and really they were never in this one. Atomic looking dominant on the night. They move into third in the standings. Well, Scarborough SC should have been raring to go last week. Coming off a huge upset loss to last place Milton, Scarberia had the perfect opportunity to bounce back as they hosted struggling Brantford on Saturday, a team that hadn't won since all the way back on June 11th. But once again, Scarborough struggled against a team they're expected to win against. Brantford's last win actually came against Scarborough back on June 11th, so they've had their success against them. This game, though, was all about just sitting back and trying to stem the tide. Brantford was missing their top scorer, Stefan Vukovic, due to a red he received the week previous. So not much offensive punch, but really Scarborough looked disinterested as well in this game, to be honest. And this was truly the most boring contest of the year. Neither side had much zip. Shot after shot from long distance, none really threatened. This was sadly the best of the bunch. Nice footwork here, but the ball flies well wide. Yikes. 0-0 the final. Scarborough's Addis Sesic gave credit, though, to Brantford's veteran defenders, who made it tough for the home squad to muster much offense on the night.
They got really good defenders. I met him like 3 years ago, like Boris and few guys who played like almost like 5-6 years CSL, like very well players and stuff. And we was trying to find a way like to score, but we didn't find a way. Like I hope like next game we're gonna score. We still hold the second position on the table, so I think we're doing very well this season.
Okay, let's take a look at the league's top scorers before we go to break. Brought to you, of course, by the York Region Shooters Academy. Train with the professionals. Head to yorkregionshooters.com for more information. And no movement at the top. We've still got Ivliev and Smagic leading the way with 9 goals apiece, followed by West, Hasesic, and then a 3-way tie for 5th. Drazen Vukovic, Alex Ojilkovic, and Stefan Vukovic, each with 6 goals apiece. Welcome back to Jehovah's CSL Primetime. The question on the lips of many CSL observers over the past month has been, what the heck is going on with York Region? After racing out of the gate this season with 9 straight wins, the Shooters have stalled since. Heading into last weekend, they were winless in 4 with 2 straight losses. And perhaps even more troubling, they hadn't scored a single tally over those 4 games. They needed to bounce back in a big way on Sunday, but it was a tall task against a surging Ukraine side. Ukraine, 25 goals in 13 games thus far to lead the league. York, 5th minute, Alexander Stoyanovsky from 18 yards. Just wide though. Finally, mercifully, York's dry streak comes to an end. 34th minute, Anthony Badur, who scored the championship goal for York all the way back in 2006 and is now back with the team. He gets the monkey off their back, and it's 1-0 Shooters. 2 minutes later, they were starting to feel it again. Evan Butler tries his luck. Nazar Litvin, they saved him. Second half now, Butler was feeling ambitious as he tries his luck from 35 yards out. Yeah, no dice, not from that distance. Ukraine's offense surprisingly quiet up to this point. Suri Surliev smacks it on goal, easily handled by Emmanuel Hamiltonis. Back the other way, O'Dane Simpson goes on a run here. Good mustard on it from 22 yards out. He smokes it just wide of the post, though. Stoyanovsky causing all kinds of problems for Ukraine on this day. Nearly an own goal here as the defender almost knocks it into his own net. This is where Ukraine started to crank it up. Off the corner, Igor Bortnik. So close. No cigar, though. And then it's Vadim Gostiev with a quality feed. Alexander Muschuk just can't get a good boot on it, though, and wide it goes. Richard West has been quiet as a church mouse lately for York. No goals for some time. Tries to snap that streak, but his frustration grows. Ukraine's best chance comes in the 77th minute. Sergei Ivliev hammers it off the crossbar, and the Yellows can't do anything about the rebound. They were desperate for that equalizer. Ole Shutov here with a header. Tough to do much damage, though, from that distance, and it's smothered. York trying to pad its lead late. Stoyanovsky showing off the great 1v1 skills here, but Litvin gets down to make the save. So as it turned out, 1 goal was all they'd need. York finally gets the elephant off its back. They didn't care how they won, as long as they caught a score and picked up 3 points. So York back on track. Well, the Serbian White Eagles have been the hottest team in the CSL over the past month and a half. They've been on a torrid pace, and heading into their game Saturday, hadn't suffered a loss since all the way back on June 11th. But their opposition, Hamilton, was riding a wave of its own, having knocked off first place York the week previous. It looked like it was going to be a great matchup. Unfortunately, they never even made it to a full 90 minutes. Serbia was coming off a 3-0 thrashing of Brantford the week previous. The calm before the storm at Cardinal Newman Stadium, and this was a chippy game all throughout. A lot of fouls, a lot of tension building up as the teams exchanged pleasantries back and forth. A little push here, a little elbow coming up right there, and it was likely a catalyst behind what happened later. Now this last one coming on the edge of the box right there. Serbia couldn't do anything with the ensuing free kick though. Okay, on to the actual soccer for now. Nikola Stanjenovic with nice footwork. He just misses Josip Karan at the side of the net though. And moments later, Drazen Vukovic with the free kick right into the arms of Goran Skaric though. Karan keeps backing up here and giving Ranko Kamberovic space. So Adrian Becic has to get down and make the stop. Ensuing corner kick, take a look here as Becic will mishandle the ball, but it's Stanjenovic with the goal line stand to save the goal for Hamilton. Now Hamilton hits first in the 38th minute, courtesy a defensive miscue by Serbia. Just watch Igor Kramar, you sneaky little devil you, as he shocks the White Eagles with the tip in. Hamilton go up 1-0, and they were pumped and may have done just a little taunting there as well. Okay, second half, the rough play continued. This one was an accident, but it won't make us cringe any less. Miroslav Gabriel lands on Filip Velesevic in a spot that leaves Filip just a little bit tender. Ouch. Hamilton tries to pad its lead. Drazen Vukovic gets sprung, but just wide of the net. Nice ball movement by Serbia here. Ultimately, though, finish just not there on the day for Serbia as this one goes over top of the net. Now, here's where the fireworks really go off. Watch as Becic clearly has the ball smothered here. The Serb player starts kicking at it, and it was on. Both benches cleared. It was a free-for-all. Now, that is all we can show you for now, unfortunately. The league needs to go over the footage with both teams at a disciplinary hearing this week. Once they've done that, we'll be able to show exactly what went down. It wasn't pretty. A lot of cheap shots. A lot of very naughty words. We'll have to see it all on next week's show. The referee abandoned the game in the 89th minute. You know there will be some significant suspensions to follow. We'll keep you updated and show you all the footage next week. Okay, let's take a look then at the league table where the teams currently sit. York Region with a healthy lead on top as they pick up their 10th win of the season, followed by Scarborough. Toronto Atomic close behind with 22 points. Serbia, FC Ukraine, Hamilton, Brantford now with 11 points, and Milton in the basement with 10. Welcome back to CSL Primetime. Alex Bastiansky joined in the studio now by Jason DeThomasis to analyze a very eventful weekend.
You can say that. That
took place both in terms of highlights and fisticuffs. Not every day we see that in the league, but let's get to DT's breakdown, brought to you by Days Inn Hotels, official hotel of the Canadian Soccer League. And yeah, as mentioned, this was an eventful weekend. We'll leave the fisticuff part for later. We'll get with the actual action first. And starting off with Milton and Toronto Atomic, just when we thought that Milton had turned a corner, they lay an egg in this one, and they didn't look into this game for 1 second, did they?
Yeah, you know what? Momentum's huge in sports, and you would think that carrying forward, it would be in Milton's favor. But, you know, credit to them up until this point, but this is a game that they have to take advantage of, and they didn't do so.
And Atomic looked good in this game. Full credit to them for that as well. Early on, Milton defense just looked porous, and you were really impressed with the Atomic player who was able to shred the Milton defense on several occasions there.
Yeah, you know what? Atomic had tremendous wing play, I found, and a lot of balls are coming in. Again, 3 goals is huge in any game, but it could have been far more than that.
Yeah, Dario Brezak returns to the lineup for Atomic in this game after missing a few games for personal reasons, and they need him. This is a guy who's was their leading scorer up until the point where he went out. Having Brezek back in the lineup essential to their fortunes, isn't it?
Yeah, again, just having him, just his presence there is going to play dividends, but also, his creative play is going to help other players in the field get open. He draws attention to himself and helps the overall team.
Igor Melnyk. Now, Atomic has talked about the fact they need a striker to step up. Scoring goals has been a little bit of a problem, especially with Brezak out of the lineup. Igor Melnyk steps up, gets 2 goals in this game. He's now got 3 in his last 2 games. He could be the guy to fill the offensive void, and he looked really good on Friday, didn't he?
Yeah, you know what? All the finishers were clinical, and if someone can step up, like you said, if a player goes down, he's the person to fill the void, and he's someone that's doing the thing right now.
Okay, let's move on to York Region and Ukraine. Now, 2 big things happened for York in this game. They get their first win in 5 games, and they scored their first goal in 5 games. So doubly good for them. They put in a good performance, and they got the win and the goal scored, which is going to give them a real boost, isn't it?
Yeah, again, it's all about confidence, and I think it was getting into York's heads a bit, like, leading a goal-scoring team in the league, can't score a goal in 5 games. So even getting that first goal, hopefully it gets the ball rolling, but I thought that they looked pretty good out there.
Yeah, okay, so as mentioned, this is their first goal in 5 games. It wasn't like there was an onslaught of goals where they had 2 or 3. What have you noticed differently about them? Like, you follow York Region more closely probably than any other team. What have they been doing differently over the last few games since they went on that great run to start the year where they won 9 straight?
I just think that obviously when teams come in for a second time, they know how you play. So I think that York now is getting into their head more so than anything. And it looks like that they've slightly changed their formation. And the York build-up play that we're used to, I don't think it's there anymore. They seem to be more direct. It's not like the beautiful soccer that they're playing, and that 1-2 touch passing just seems to not be there right now.
Okay, the stingy York defense, which they are known for, I believe it's only 6 goals the entire year they've allowed. And major accomplishment in this game is they hold Ukraine, who's the leading scoring team in the league, basically. They hold Ukraine to scoreless for the entire game. So the York Region defense, at the very least, while their offense isn't humming along, the defense is still getting it done.
Yeah, you know what? It gives the offense a chance to get rolling again. The defense has played their part throughout the whole year. And again, in a game like this, 1-0, the defense plays a huge part, and it probably gave them the win.
Scarborough and Brantford. We'd like to call it, this is unfortunately the blandest game of the week. There weren't many highlights in this game to tell you about, but you could call this a missed opportunity for Scarborough. They're coming off a loss to last place Milton the week before. You think that they would be raring to go. You think they would have it in high gear for this game. They go up against a team from Brantford who's struggling right now, and they just couldn't get it together in this game.
You know, this is a huge opportunity. Nothing against Brantford, but the way they've been playing lately, it's a huge opportunity. Luckily, with a tie, they still leapfrog into second place, but it was just a game that they looked just uninterested to actually be playing in.
And Scarborough now in second place, and they do have 2 games in hand on Toronto Atomic, who's chasing them in third. So the tie is still beneficial to Scarborough, but again, they would have loved that 3 points, wouldn't they?
Well, it would have been huge, and just to give yourself some distance, it's a comfort zone, but right now they're still 1 point up and still a ways to go.
Yeah, so the last game, Serbia and Hamilton, fight night on Saturday night. Unfortunately, now we're going to say this off the top, we can't show the brawl right now. And the reason why is because there's a disciplinary hearing this week. There's going to be a ton of suspensions for this. There's no question about it. We can show briefly what happened at the start here. Now, this was a chippy game. You wanted to point that out. This was a chippy game, so it wasn't like the event that happened with the goalkeeper was the ultimate thing that led to it. It was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, basically.
Yeah, there were some tackles in the game. There was like those regular soccer tackles, a foot in here, but the tackles looked pretty aggressive, pretty chippy, pretty late. So it looked like something was building up, and obviously we saw what happened.
Right, so the game had to be abandoned late in the second half because of the fights that took place. Up until that point, Hamilton winning 1-0. So it's unfortunate because the result right now is undecided. But Hamilton on a bit of a roll now. They were holding powerful Serbia to 1-0, and they defeated first place York the week before. So they were looking good anyway up until that point.
Yeah, hopefully this is not anything that's going to stop their momentum going forward. But Hamilton has been doing well, moving up the standings. And again, Serbia's been on a roll for over a month, and credit to Hamilton.
There will be major suspensions coming. We'll let you know an update as to what's happening next week. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Well, thanks, of course.
Okay, more Jehovah's CSL Primetime coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to Javova's CSL Primetime. It would be fair to say that Toronto Atomic has been all over the map this season. At one point they were unbeaten in 5, but then they went winless in 4, and they've pretty much been playing at that 500 level since. But Atomic have some world-class players and have yet to field their full lineup. And when they do, this will be one dangerous squad. Let's take a closer look now at Toronto Atomic in this week's Team Spotlight, brought to you by Olympic Trophies, official trophy supplier to the Canadian soccer. While FC Ukraine has been a successful first-year entry in the Canadian Soccer League, they're by no means the only club with a Ukrainian flavor. Toronto Atomic is now in its second CSL season. They're the brainchild of owner Ihor Popachuk, who saw a need to provide Ukrainian players with a local place to play.
Ukrainians are not very well known internationally. Yeah, a few names here and there. So I felt that has to be done a little bit in this area because I'm from there. I played the game. I know the people, good players, but at least give them a little chance to succeed. In at least a North American market.
After bowing out in the playoff quarterfinals last year, Atomic have had an up and down 2016 season. After a strong start, they've been inconsistent over the past few weeks.
We started really well, and unfortunately a couple of injuries and a couple work commitments. We haven't quite had a full squad for maybe a couple 6-week spell, and we're starting to get everyone back and fit for the run-in at the end of the season. Our fitness levels are as good as they will be, so I think we're all set for the run-in now, and we're in a good spot. It's quite tight at the top of the league, and a couple of back-to-back wins. We could be tough to catch the team at the top, but we could maybe nick second.
By far, Atomic's biggest off-season signing was former Manchester City player and Canadian international Terry Dunfield. Now, obviously, he brings unmatched skill and experience to the team, but he's fit right in as just one of the guys.
Terry is one of those guys that it's like, I have an example for this. You're meeting somebody in a bus, in a metro, and you right away you click. Same thing with Terry. Once you get to know Terry 2 minutes, you want to talk to him, you want to socialize with him. What I noticed myself for the team that we don't talk a lot. Once Terry plays, he starts to communicate and talk, and the rhythm and style of game right away starts to click.
Dario Brezak is a chief weapon for Atomic. Unfortunately, other commitments have kept his games limited this year. When he has been on the pitch, however, he's been dynamic.
Every person goes through the stages in his life, and it's like in a soccer field. One game you're good, but one game you're not as good. But Brezak is one of the person that we rely to put goals in the net, yes.
Brezak is just one of several talented standouts on this squad.
Alexei Zayats is one of those players that tactically, he's absolutely 100%. He sticks to the system, he does his job, and it's a player, especially in defense, because he plays on defense. You have to be very, very disciplined, organized. Melnick is it's a stubborn character, and he's totally different in life. But when he goes on the field, he shows his character. Plus, he's a very skillful, one of the most skillful guys on our team. And he obviously played back in Ukraine in a very competitive leagues and environment.
Despite its rather pedestrian record of 6 wins, 5 losses, and 2 ties, Atomic sits 3rd overall in the standings. Dunfield feels the team is nicely poised to make a deep run in the playoffs.
I think our goal right now is to finish second and be on the other side of the draw to Shooters, who by far have been the best team in the league. Our goal is definitely to get second, put a couple of wins together, get a little bit of momentum going towards the playoffs.
Okay, before we go, let's take a look at the plays of the week. We did a top 3 this week. There weren't too many great highlights. Number 3, Atomic's Ihor Magilevsky does well to fight off the Milton defender, finds Loilo Johnson out front with a nice finish. Part of a 3-0 Atomic blowout win on Friday. Number 2, York's Anthony Badour snaps the shooter's goalless streak after 4 games, mercifully, as he holds off the Ukraine player and knocks it home, and that is one big sigh of relief you hear from York region. And number 1, no doubt this week, Ihor Melnik of Atomica absolutely schools Boris Bilinovich. Fantastic moves. He puts it home, and that is definitely our CSL play of the week. And we've run out of time for this week. Just remember though, you can always head to CanadianSoccerLeague.ca to get all your up-to-date league information. Also, at CSL_soccer on Twitter and Jovova Canadian Soccer League on Facebook. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next week.